Good morning and welcome to the Extra on KRDO News Radio, the show that connects you with the topics and people and issues that are important to you and very important person today. You know her, you love her. Catherine Hammond Law Group is here. Hello.
Good morning, Renee.
How are you guys?
I am fabulous. I'm enjoying a little bit warmer weather this week.
I know, it's pretty nice until like tomorrow or something. I think it's supposed to change.
You are the bearer of bad news.
Leave it to me, the news lady.
Right.
That's my new name. Hey, News Lady. I wear name tags now. Hey, News Lady. Well, you're so awesome for coming in this morning, and you have offered to do open phone questions today. That is so nice of you. You are so awesome.
Let's see what kind of questions people have.
I know. So if you have a question for Catherine Hammond Law Group, give us a call. 473-1240 is the phone number. That is 473-1240. And you hold workshops once a month, Catherine, or once a month.
At least once a month.
And there are some common questions that do come up.
Yes, there are.
At these workshops.
Yep, all talking about estate planning.
Yes.
Wills, trusts, and then
probate,
trust administration when somebody passes away, disability, what happens if mom has dementia and she can't sign off on the sale of her own home anymore.
Right. All that fun and exciting stuff, right?
Right.
And so you have compiled a list of some of the top questions that are asked. And again, if you have a question for Catherine, you can call this morning. 473-1240 is the phone number. We're not used to doing open phones, so people are probably wait, what? What are we doing right now? We can call.
You can call.
Call.
But don't ask me about divorce or bankruptcy or...
Right, this is estate planning.
DUI.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in having expertise in one key area.
Right.
Kind of like I would never, ever go to a podiatrist for brain surgery.
Right.
I also would not go to a brain surgeon for foot surgery.
Right.
I'm assuming brain surgeons are super smart, right? Do you know any brain surgeons?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
Okay. We used to have one who lived across the street when I was growing up.
A neurosurgeon, isn't that what neurosurgeon?
I think so. When I was young, they just called him a brain surgeon.
Brain surgeon.
Yeah, trying to make it easy for me.
I am definitely not smart enough to hang in the likes of a brain surgeon.
Right? So, what I know well is disability and death and the legal issues related to those two things.
So if you do have a question, you can call right now again to talk to Catherine Hammond, 473-1240. And one of the top questions is, and this is actually a good question, traditional estate. Traditional. Now we have air quotes around traditional estate planning. What is traditional estate planning?
Traditional estate planning is setting things up, usually with a will, in a way that will transfer our assets to the next generation.
Okay.
So it's focused on the assets and then minimizing the taxes. So focus on two things, assets and taxes.
Oh, that's the main focus.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So where is it going to and how to not let it be taxed?
Exactly. Not any more than it absolutely has to be. Nobody wants to pay any extra in taxes. And that worked for a lot of years, but our lives have gotten a lot more complicated.
Right.
There are a lot of things that people are worried about these days that go well beyond just transferring the assets to the next generation and minimizing taxes.
Right. It goes a little bit more than writing on a piece of paper. John gets everything.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because what happens if John is married and you leave him everything and then a year later his wife takes off with the next door neighbor? Right. She takes off with half of your stuff.
Your assets.
Right. Or what happens if John isn't quite ready for the whole inheritance? Mm. Or what happens if John has special needs and he's on SSI or Medicaid? He loses all of his government benefits.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why estate planning is essential.
Our world keeps getting more complicated.
It really does, doesn't it? Okay, and another top question that comes from the traditional estate planning, like we said, planning what happens to your assets and taxes. So what's the difference between that and legacy wealth planning?
So legacy wealth planning is the way that I describe what we do, which is just a more holistic view. And at the center of it, it's about making things as easy as possible at the most difficult moments in life.
Okay.
So making sure that things are as easy as possible for your family, for your loved ones, if you become incapacitated, making things as easy as possible for everybody when you pass away.
Got it.
And so that includes getting some documents set up that will transfer your assets to the next generation. Ideally, in that planning process, we're going to minimize taxes, but we're also going to take into consideration your values. What's important to you? Do you want to make sure that it stays with John if he gets divorced? Is it important to you to give him some time to live on his own financially before he gets a chunk of money from your estate? And then all of the other little things that people don't normally associate with an estate planning attorney, which is why we spend so much time educating the public on what estate planning really means holistically, because it means everything from making sure that you have a plan to pay for long-term care if you end up with dementia or a stroke and you need some sort of professional care, making sure that you have a funeral plan so that when you pass away, your family in the middle of shock and grief won't have to figure out the details about what you want. They'll already have a plan, and they'll have a way to pay for the funeral.
Because it's all planned out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We make sure that there's money available. And then all of the other, there are so many things, having a conversation ahead of time with your loved ones about what quality of life means to you.
Right.
So that if there are difficult decisions that need to be made beyond the normal, if I'm in a coma, how long do you want to be kept alive?
Right.
Beyond that, all of the little medical decisions that someone might have to make for you, how to filter those decisions in a way that really honors your wishes.
Right.
And doesn't prolong your stay on this planet beyond where you would
want
it to artificially.
Right. And all of that goes into all the planning.
That is what I call legacy wealth planning.
I love it. Okay, we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll have more questions for Catherine. And you can ask your questions as well. Just give us a call. 473-1240 is the phone number. Again, that's 473-1240. And we'll have more with Catherine Hammond next on The Extra on KRDO News Radio. And welcome back to The Extra on KRDO News Radio. Catherine Hammond, Hammond Law Group, is here taking your questions today. And we were trying to think, Catherine, when was the last time you kind of did open phones? That was almost 2 years ago, I think.
I think
a year and a half,
wasn't
it?
It was when I was first getting to know you.
Yeah, when I first moved over to KRDO.
Yeah.
I know.
Which I'm still so happy about.
Me too. And we do have callers this morning. And again, if you have a question for Catherine about estate planning and what did you call it again?
Legacy wealth planning.
Legacy. I love
making sure
that.
your legacy really gets passed on, not just your stuff.
And even if it doesn't have to do with you, maybe you're caring for a family member or setting something up for your kids, right?
Exactly.
All very valid questions. And we do have a caller this morning. Good morning, Shirley. What's your question for Catherine?
Hi, Catherine. I was my mother recently died, and she was taking care of my mother. And meanwhile, she, I appreciate her for doing that. And I my, hat goes off to all caregivers out there. But she had power of attorney, and my mother had a will for my other two siblings. And my sister, when she had the power of attorney, she gave herself executorship, and now she won't give anybody any money. Even though, my mother had a will and everything.
Can she do that as power of attorney, having power of attorney?
I don't think I probably have any legal recourse over that because she did have power of attorney and then became the executor. I really don't know.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm really sorry about your mom. And as far as the specifics of the situation, it sounds like you understand the difference between being an agent under a power of attorney. Power of attorney only works during your mom's lifetime, and then being the executor or personal representative after she passes away, which is under the will. Right. And so it sounds like your mom probably nominated your sister as her personal representative in her will. Do you know if that's what happened?
No, I don't think she did that, but my mother had dementia towards the last. And my mother thought, she will give me a copy. Don't have a copy of the will. I probably could go get one, but she.
Did your mom own any real estate?
Yeah, we already sold one part of real estate, and there's more real estate. But we kind of agreed because both of my brother and my sister live out of state, so. At the funeral, we kind of made a verbal agreement. We wouldn't sell the house because they'd like to come here.
Okay. And did your mom live in Colorado?
Yes.
Okay. So when your mom owns real estate, even with a will in place, first thing that's important for everybody to understand is that there is a probate that has to happen.
Right.
And so is the probate still open?
Yes. No, it's over.
Okay, the probate is over. And so you, as your mother's child, should have gotten a full accounting of everything that happened. And if the probate is over, if it's closed out, that would mean that all of the money and assets have been distributed. It doesn't get closed until the assets are actually distributed and all bills have been paid. And your personal representative has to sign off swearing that that has in fact happened. So if that has not happened, or if you have any other questions, really feel free to call my office. We give people at least a free 30-minute consultation when somebody passes away, and we can sit down with you. Jessica is our attorney who works with people when they have a loved one who has passed, and we can take a peek at the situation, but you would want to bring in a copy of the will and all of the probate documents that you have. And so if you don't have those already, you'll want to get a hold of those so that we could help really figure out what's going on, and at least give you some guidance from there.
Where would I get a copy? I'm not sure where to get the copy of the will.
Just ask your sister. Your sister should provide a copy. Otherwise, it's from the El Paso County Probate Court, and you can go down to the courthouse and just request a copy of the will and all of the documents. They're all filed with the court. But your sister should have been providing those to you. Yeah. Did she have an attorney?
Yes.
Okay. So definitely she should have been providing copies of every single document that was filed with the probate court to you as an heir at law.
Okay, so, well, thank you for telling me that. I wasn't provided with that information, so now at least I know. I wasn't sure where to go.
Yeah, and again, if there's anything that we can be helpful with, happy to do a free 30-minute consult. Our office is 719-520-1474.
Give that number one more time.
719-520-1474.
Shirley, I hope that helped answer some of your questions. And again, it sounds like you need to get that information and then give Catherine's office a call, and they may help you sort that out, okay?
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, Shirley. Okay, we do have some more callers on the line. Lynn, please hang on. And we do have to take a news break. Are you ready for some more calls?
Absolutely.
Awesome. We'll do some more calls after the quick news break coming up next on The Extra on KRDO News Radio. Welcome back to The Extra on KRDO News Radio, where we're talking with Catherine Hammond Law Group, and we're taking your calls this morning if you have questions for Catherine about estate planning and getting your affairs in order, if you will, and taking care of your loved ones and family members. And you can ask Catherine a question. 473-1240 is the phone number. Again, that's 473-1240. We're going to try to get through all of these calls this morning, but again, you can call 473-1240. Lynn, thank you so much for hanging on the line while we got through the news break, and you have a question for Catherine this morning.
Yes, I do. Good morning. Hey, I wanted to ask Catherine, what is the reason or difference, why would you need an estate plan if you have a well-defined will and a living will, power of attorney, medical power of attorney type things? What is the benefit of having an additional document called an estate plan?
Good morning, Lynn. Great question. And I think the terminology that we've used around estate planning as attorneys has very well confused the public. Really, a will and the power of attorney and living will and all of those things, that is an estate plan. And so the question is that the right estate plan for you? Does it cover everything that's important to you and that needs to be covered? And all of that comes down to the specifics of your situation, your assets, your goals, your concerns. Did you work with an attorney to set up your will and other documents?
I did not. I just, did the uslegalforms.com and downloaded those. And I have a pretty simple, situation. So it seemed like it was all included in those wills and living will, power of attorney, medical, power of attorney, et cetera. So I just want to make sure I don't need yet something else.
Right. Well, kudos to you, first of all, for taking steps to get those documents in place. And really, without us having a long conversation, it would be impossible for me to tell you whether there's anything else that you need. It comes down to all of the things that might be important to you. Obviously, the will takes care of transferring things to the people you want to receive them. But there are so many questions and contingencies around that are important to at least be looking at. If you ever want to come in and chat, we do a free workshop. And when you come to the free workshop and get the basic education about the different types of estate plans, will-based plans, trust-based plans, things like that, we offer a free meeting with an attorney. And it's really just sitting down with you, going through the specifics of your situation, asking you what's important. And then we can look at your documents and tell you if we see any gaps for you. We won't try to sell you anything.
Okay. All right. I appreciate the help. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lynn. Okay, let's go to our next caller this morning. Good morning, Eddie. Thanks for calling in this morning. You have a question for Catherine?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear him okay, Catherine?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Good morning, Eddie.
Hi, I have a two-part type question. One is, when we come in to see you to do our planning, what should we bring?
Oh, well, when you come in, there's a simple form that we have you fill out ahead of time that just says how many kids you have, the basics of what kinds of assets you own, and a couple of questions around what is most important to you. And really, that's it. That what's important in that first meeting with us or any other attorney, I would hope, is getting to the heart of what's important to you, really finding out about your world. And most of that, for me, comes through our conversation. And as you share a little bit about your situation and your goals, me being able to ask questions so that I really understand what's important to you.
Okay. And if we do this in Colorado, will it be binding in another state if we pass away in another state?
Good question.
Absolutely. Thankfully, in our mobile society, our estate planning laws are set up in a way that if you do documents that are valid in the state where you signed them and you move to another state, it is valid in the other state, particularly as far as a living trust is concerned. It's a federal document. Now, wills are treated a little bit differently if you do a will-based plan. When you move to a new state, it has to meet the execution, the signing requirements of the state that you move to. And so a good attorney is going to make sure that your documents will meet the signing requirements for every other state so that if you ever move, they're still going to be good. There are a couple of documents that you always want to do new if you move to another state, and those are the power of attorney and then the healthcare directives. Those are state specific, but everything else moves with you.
Okay.
Did that help answer your questions, Eddie?
Yes. Could I ask one last one?
Sure. Is that okay, Catherine?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We have 4 children. Well, let me rephrase that. We have 4 adult children, and 2 of the children have 1 child apiece. Our basic thought was, okay, everybody gets a quarter. of whatever's left after the last surviving spouse passes. But we'd like to, with those 2 children with 1 child each, can we put maybe 5% in that child's name, meaning our grandchild? So 2 children will get 25 apiece, and then the other 2 children will get 20, and each one of their child or children will get 5%. Is that too complicated? We just want to leave something for our grandchildren also.
Right. Eddie, that's absolutely possible and probably not too complicated. And yet, what I want to do, a good estate plan is going to already address anything that's reasonably foreseeable. If it's possible or reasonably foreseeable that you will have more grandchildren, what I would want to do is have a conversation with you about how do we want to accommodate all future grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And we can draft your plan in a way that takes care of all grandchildren who exist at the time of your death or any time after that. Depending on exactly what you're wanting to do, we could either set it up in a way like you just described, or we could make it so that it covers any future grandchildren as well. And there are just different ways to draft it to make that happen.
Well, I think everybody's out of the baby business.
Okay. Well, Eddie, thank you so much. Hope that helped answer your questions. And go ahead and, Catherine, give your phone number once again in your website, too, so people know.
Absolutely.
And then we'll talk about your next workshop when we come back from the break.
Our phone number is 719-520-1474. And our website is coloradoestateplan.com.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll have more questions with Catherine Hammond. Can probably fit in about 1 or 2 more calls. We got some folks on the line holding on. Please hold on. And if you would like have a question for Catherine, call 473-1240. It's coming up next on The Extra on KRDO News Radio. And welcome back to The Extra on KRDO News Radio. Today we're talking with Catherine Hammond, Hammond Law Group. Okay, so monthly, you guys have monthly workshops, and this is a great starter place, isn't it? If you have questions about estate planning, or maybe you think you have your estate plan all together, or what pieces are I'm missing, right? This is a great place to start.
It is a great place to start, and I think a lot of people are hesitant to come to an estate planning workshop, partly because none of us wants to face our own mortality. Yeah. But even once you start thinking, okay, maybe I have to, there are a lot of workshops out there that are salesy, where somebody's trying to sell you something, and people don't tend to like lawyers a lot anyway. So it might be helpful to clarify that what we're doing is really just providing information. We offer people an opportunity to come in and chat with an attorney if they want to, but we're not going to try and sell you a single thing. It's a place where we sit down and go through some real-life case studies and talk about the way that things go. We have 2 workshops coming up on Wednesday, January 9th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 6:30 in the evening, and then again on Saturday morning, January 12th. So get your New Year's resolutions taken care of early. Mm-hmm. Come and join us.
Get scheduled. And you can schedule on the website, right?
Absolutely. coloradoestateplan.com.
Well, I think we have time for one more caller. Are you ready for one more question?
I sure am.
Okay, let's go to the phones. Laura, good morning. Thanks so much for calling this morning. And you have a question for Catherine?
I do. First, I wanted to say that a really good reputation. So wanted to throw that out there. But one of the questions I have is we watched 2 local attorneys liquidate 90% of my mother-in-law's estate based on the fact that my brother-in-law was an alcoholic and he had no job or anything. And he went to a local attorney and signed a thing called an irrevocable lien against his half of the estate just to fight my husband. And we watched everything my mother-in-law and father-in-law had worked for go into the pockets of 2 fighting attorneys. Now, Catherine said earlier, people don't think very much of attorneys. Well, it's because a lot of them are really dirty. But here was what we did, and I don't know if it was right, but what we're wanting to do in the future is set up a complicated trust. We do not want to give anybody an opportunity to drag anybody into a probate situation and that kind of thing. Do you guys do complicated trusts?
And sadly, a lot of times family situations are like this, aren't they?
No kidding. I'm so sorry to hear about that.
Yeah.
I mean, both the family stuff and the lawyer stuff. I hope we don't have any other lawyers listening. Larry the Cable Guy used to say 99% of all lawyers make the rest look bad. I think it's not too far from the truth. And that's one of the big reasons that so many people tell us that they don't want lawyers and judges anywhere near their family's affairs. Because once you have lawyers and judges involved, they all have their own interests, and it doesn't benefit the family.
Right.
It benefits the lawyers. And so when you ask about a complicated trust, absolutely. We tailor every single estate plan, including trusts, to exactly what people are trying to accomplish. We want to make sure that it will accomplish all of your goals, and for most people, also make it as easy as possible to administer whoever is going to be your successor trustee, easy enough that they can take care of it without having to involve attorneys and pay a ton of fees in order to figure it out. So it's a delicate balance of those things. But absolutely, a good attorney is going to sit down with you and figure out all of your goals and find the best way to meet your goals. And it sounds like one of those is to make it solid so that lawyers won't have the opportunity to get involved.
So if you have like a very and Laura, this is going to your question, but like you said, okay, we know sometimes family stuff comes up and people are not in part involved in the family anymore. So if you specifically want that in your will, like so-and-so does not write, and this is so hard to say, but does not receive anything, that's possible, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And setting up a living trust, a solid living trust. You can certainly download a will or a living trust off the internet. And it will say some good things, but it typically isn't comprehensive and doesn't cover all of the most important contingencies. With a living trust, the whole entire design is to keep it out of probate and to keep the lawyers out. That's one of the primary reasons why so many people use living trusts these days. There are some specific provisions that we can put in there, no matter what it is that you're wanting to do specifically with your assets and your loved ones and all of that, some specific provisions that we can put in there that make it really, really hard for it to end up in court.
Yeah. Okay, Laura, we hope that helped answer your question this morning. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. You know, John D. Rockefeller said, own nothing and manage everything. That man didn't even own a pair of underwear and never paid 1 cent of income tax because everything he had was tied up in complicated trust. And I think that's what a lot of people need to do. We need to act like that, and that would protect us from a lot of different people trying to steal from us.
Yeah, and it certainly happens.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself, Laura. Thanks so much for calling.
Thank you so much, Laura. Okay, so go ahead and give the dates for the upcoming workshops again, because it's a great time after you kick off the new year to.
Right. So many people set this as a New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
They've been meaning to do it forever and ever. So Wednesday, January 9th at 2 o'clock and 6:30 p.m. and Saturday, January 12th at 10 o'clock in the morning. You can call our office, 719-520-1474, or go to our website, coloradoestateplan.com.
Awesome. Catherine Hammond, Hammond Law Group. Thanks for answering calls this morning and questions.
It was a lot of fun.
It
Thanks,
was great.
Tracy.
Thank
Love helping
you.
people.
Thank you so much. And coming up tomorrow on the Extra, it is the Colorado State Patrol. They'll be here on the Extra on KRDO News Radio.